One man stands on a mountain. Across from him, 450 priests of a foreign god. The entire nation watches. Nobody has seen rain in 3 years. This man just challenged the king, the queen, and every priest of Baal to a contest. Whoever's god answers with fire wins. The 450 priests have been screaming since morning. They cut themselves with knives until blood runs down their bodies. They danced until they collapsed. Nothing. Their God has not answered. Now it is Elijah's turn. Instead of keeping his sacrifice dry, he orders servants to drench it with water. 3 times. Water fills the trench around the altar. What happens next will be remembered for 3,000 years. But first, we need to understand how we got here. King Ahab sat on Israel's throne, but his wife Jezebel held the real power. She was a Phoenician princess who brought her pagan gods when she married Ahab. 1 Kings 16:30-33 states it directly. Ahab did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any king before him. He built a temple for Baal in Samaria and set up altars throughout Israel. Jezebel hunted the prophets of God. 1 Kings 18:4 tells us Obadiah, a palace official, hid 100 prophets in caves to keep them alive. Into this darkness stepped Elijah. 1 Kings 17:1 introduces him with no background. As the Lord, the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word. The drought began. A direct challenge to Baal, the god who supposedly controlled rain. God told Elijah to hide at the Chariot ravine. 1 Kings 17:4-6 describes how ravens brought bread and meat every morning and evening, while he drank from the brook. When the brook dried up, God sent Elijah to Zarephath in Jezebel's homeland. He found a widow preparing her last meal. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil left. She expected to eat it and die. Elijah made an impossible promise. 1 Kings 17:14. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain. She trusted him. The flour and oil lasted through the entire famine. Then her son died. Elijah carried the boy upstairs and prayed. 1 Kings 17:22. The Lord heard Elijah's cry, and the boy's life returned to him. The widow declared in 1 Kings 17:24, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth." 3 years passed. God told Elijah to confront Ahab. When Ahab saw him, he accused, "Is that you, you troubler of Israel?" Elijah threw it back. 1 Kings 18:18. I have not made trouble for Israel, but you and your father's family have. He issued his challenge. Gather the nation and the 450 prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. Elijah addressed the crowd. 1 Kings 18:21. How long will you waver between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. The people said nothing. The terms were simple: 2 bulls, 2 altars, no fire. The God who answers with fire is the true God. The prophets of Baal went first. From morning until noon they shouted. 1 Kings 18:26. Baal, answer us! They danced around their altar. Nothing. Elijah mocked them. 1 Kings 18:27. Shout louder! Perhaps he is deep in thought or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping. They shouted louder. They cut themselves with swords until blood flowed. 1 Kings 18:29. But there was no response. No one answered. No one paid attention. Elijah rebuilt the altar of the Lord with 12 stones. He dug a trench around it. He arranged the wood and the sacrifice. Then he had servants pour water over everything, 12 large jars. The trench filled completely. At the evening sacrifice, Elijah prayed. No shouting, no cutting. 1 Kings 18:36-37. Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel. Answer me, Lord, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God. 1 Kings 18:38. Then the fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the soil, and also licked up the water in the trench. The people fell on their faces. 1 Kings 18:39. The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. The prophets of Baal were seized and executed. Then Elijah prayed for rain. A small cloud appeared over the sea. The sky grew black. The drought ended. Jezebel sent a message. 1 Kings 19:2. May the gods deal with me if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like one of them. The man who called down fire from heaven ran for his life. 1 Kings 19:4. He sat under a broom bush and prayed to die. I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. God did not rebuke him. An angel brought food and water. Elijah slept. The angel came again. 1 Kings 19:7. Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. Strengthened by that food, Elijah traveled 40 days to Mount Horeb. God asked, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" 1 Kings 19:10. I've been very zealous for the Lord. The Israelites have rejected your covenant. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me. God told him to stand on the mountain. A powerful wind tore the rocks apart, but the Lord was not in the wind. An earthquake came, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. Fire came, but the Lord was not in the fire. 1 Kings 19:12. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. God was in the whisper. God gave Elijah new assignments and corrected his despair. 1 Kings 19:18. I reserve 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed to Baal. 7,000. Elijah was not alone. He found Elisha plowing with 12 yoke of oxen and threw his cloak over him. Elisha understood immediately. He slaughtered his oxen, burned his plowing equipment, and followed Elijah. King Ahaziah, Ahab's son, fell through a lattice and injured himself. Instead of seeking God, he sent messengers to consult Baal-zebub, a Philistine deity. Elijah intercepted them. 2 Kings 1:4. You will not leave the bed you are lying on. You will certainly die. Ahaziah sent 50 soldiers to arrest Elijah. 2 Kings 1:10. Fire came down from heaven and consumed them. He sent 50 more. Fire consumed them too. The third captain fell on his knees and begged for mercy. Elijah went with him and delivered the message to the king's face. Ahaziah died according to Elijah's word. 2 Kings 2:1. When the Lord was about to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind, Elijah and Elisha were on their way from Gilgal. 3 times Elijah tried to leave Elisha behind. 3 times Elisha refused. "As surely as the Lord lives, I will not leave you." At the Jordan, Elijah struck the water with his cloak. It divided. They crossed on dry ground. Elijah asked what he could do for Elisha before he was taken. Elisha answered, "Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." Elijah said if Elisha saw him taken, it would be granted. 2 Kings 2:11. As they were walking and talking, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha saw it and cried out, my father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel!" He picked up Elijah's fallen mantle, struck the Jordan, and the water divided again. The prophets watching declared, "The spirit of Elijah rests on Elisha." Elijah appeared again centuries later. Matthew 17:3. Moses and Elijah appeared with Jesus at the Transfiguration. Jesus said, John the Baptist came in Elijah's spirit. Malachi 4:5 prophesied Elijah would return before the great day of the Lord. James 5:17 reminds us, Elijah was a human being even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain for 3.5 years. A human being. He experienced fear. He ran from threats. He collapsed under depression. But he also trusted God when ravens brought food. He believed God when a widow's flour would not run out. He stood alone against 450 prophets and called down fire. His life shows what happens when one person refuses to bow to the culture around them. If this resonated with you, subscribe and turn on notifications. Share it with someone who needs this story.